Okay, perfect. So welcome to the rest of the training. There's a couple more videos after this one. So what we're going to talk about next is selecting the vehicle that we're going to show, and then showing that vehicle to the customer. So based on the customer's responses to the questions that we just had in the fact-finding phase, you're going to determine whether that person is a safety-driven, performance-driven, appearance-driven. You're going to find out what's important to that customer, right? So as we continue, you're going to want to present the vehicle to the customer on their terms, right? So if they're a performance and appearance person, you're going to point out the performance features and the appearance features, even though you're still going to touch on the safety features and like the economy and the durability features. You're just not going to accentuate those as much. So keep that in mind as you're going through your presentation process. So typically what I'm going to do, if somebody comes in and they say, I want the tippy top of the line, everything on it, fully loaded, that's great. Okay, but I'm going to show them three options before we actually pick the one that we're going to drive. So option one is typically going to be the least expensive. It's going to have the least amount of equipment, even though it's still going to be quite a bit of equipment. So option one, okay, selection process. Okay, so option one is going to be the least expensive. Right? Why are we going to do that? Well, we're building value in the car that we're presenting, and ultimately the one that they pick out, they've got to be able to justify in their mind what they're going to pay for it. So if we start at the tippy top, you know, they might be looking for some kind of huge discount before they're going to buy a car. So if we start here with the least expensive, as we go up in model, that's going to kind of help build some credibility as far as, hey, you know, if you wanted $5,000 off, I have that car, we already looked at it, you said that wasn't going to work. So option one is going to be the least expensive. Option two, believe it or not, is going to be kind of somewhere in the middle. It has a few more features, some more bells and whistles. Maybe we do get a sunroof, you know, whatever the case may be. But again, we're building that value between option one and option two. So when we go with the next step up, you're going to get this feature and this feature and this feature. Let me show you some of the things that you're going to get there. And then if that was not the right car, then option three will be the fully loaded car. So now you get the navigation, you get the leather interior, you know, and what you've done in the meantime is you've built up the value of this car, or you've eliminated this car and say, okay, we're going to go ahead and stick more with this model because it's got everything that I need. It's going to keep me in the payment that I want, you know, and whatever's going to work best for the customer. So understand, this is not a manipulation. What this is the best use of the customer's time, because in the internet age, people don't have lots and lots of time to spend at the car dealership, right? So we want to make sure that the time that we are spending, we're being as effective as we possibly can be, and we do that by starting here, building value as we go, and then we let them choose the one that is going to be the best fit for them, okay? So once we've made the selection, now we're going to move to presentation. Okay, so number one, when you're presenting a vehicle, you have to know everything that there is to know about that car, right? So when those questions come up, you'll be able to answer them with confidence. And it's okay if you don't know the exact answer to say, well, you know what, I'm not exactly sure, but I will get that information for you. Because the last thing that you want to do is have somebody ask you a question and then say, well, you know what, I'm not sure, let me go find out. And then you run across the street and you get some information, you come back and they go, oh, okay, well, that's cool. And then you're going on, and they go, what about this? And you go, well, I'm not sure. And then you run across the street again, and you know, now we're just wasting time. So it's easy to go ahead and overcome those little hurdles for the moment and just kind of defer them till later. You know what, that's a great question. I'm not exactly sure the answer, but I'll tell you what, we're going to find out together in just a little bit, right? But let's focus on the car. Let's make sure that we get the right car picked out for you, right? And off and away we go. So again, in an internet age, you don't have a whole lot of time to grab and hold somebody's attention, right? So you want to make sure that you are presenting the vehicle from the customer's point of view. So whatever's important to them, that's the stuff that you want to point out, right? You want to show them why this car is the best choice for what it is that they're trying to accomplish. So if they need something that's going to move people around, they need something that's safe, they need something more durable, whatever the case may be, when you were going through your fact finding and you were finding out what was most important to them, that's the stuff that you want to focus on when you're doing your presentation. So first thing, in order to make the best use of time, know your product. Okay, the questions that we get asked as managers are, does this car come with this feature? Well, I don't know. Go open a book and find out, right? You need to know that information. So know your trim levels, know what an S is, know what an SE is, know what an SEL is, or whatever trim levels that you're working with. Know what those are. Know what's in each package so that you can tell somebody from an intelligent point of view, this is what you're going to get with this is what you're going to get with this is what you're going to get with this, okay? So that's going to put you in a position of power. Now the next step is not only do you have to know your product, you also have to know your competitors. So, okay, know your competition. So if we're talking about a mid-size car, right, you need to know what other mid-size cars are in the market that somebody's going to be comparing to, right? And know the strengths of those vehicles against the strengths of your vehicle. So when somebody says, well, I'm thinking about this other make and I think that might be a little bit better fit because of this, then you can say, you know what, that's a really good point. But kind of on the other side of that, if you go with our model, then you also pick up this and this and this for about the same price. So if we're trying to keep the payment fair, you're going to have a reliable vehicle either way that you go because it's brand new or used or whatever. But if you don't know that information about your competition, then it becomes a point of contention later on with the customer. Okay, so know your competition, right? Your customers have done research already. Typical car buyer today does 19 hours worth of research before they even get to the dealership. So make sure that you know not only what you have available and what you have to offer, know what's on your lot, know what you can show them, but also know your competition too. So that when they say, well, if I get this one, I get the backup camera, or I get the Bluetooth, or I get the sunroof, or the navigation, then you can say, okay, well, that's great. This is how my product is better, is going to work better for you, it's a better fit, right? You are the professional here. That's what they expect from you. They expect to be able to come in, get the answers that they need to make the best decision. And if you don't have that information, you're not going to be able to share it with them in a manner that's going to make sense. And here's the worst thing that'll happen is they'll know something about your competitor that you don't. And when they ask you about it and you're not sure what the answer is, they'll say, okay, well, I got ice cream melting in the car, so I got to go. And then all of a sudden, your presentation's over. You don't even know why. So be the professional. Know your product and know your competition as well. So when you present the vehicle, what I do is I start at the front of the vehicle and I say, something like, okay, this car's designed, it's German engineering. It's designed to be driven at 150 miles an hour out on the Autobahn, right? That creates a picture in the customer's mind. And the beautiful thing about that is you can tilt that picture any direction. You can tilt it towards performance. You can tilt it towards appearance. You can tilt it towards safety, durability, economy. And you put the customer in an emotional state where they see that picture in their head, and then you're going to back it up with facts as you go around the car. So when you're presenting the car, you know the features that you have. So we're going to point out a feature. Okay, so a feature of a car is what it is. So if we say, okay, the feature is the HID headlights. Okay, that's the feature. That's what it is. Okay, so the benefit of that feature is what it does. Okay, so the feature is what it is. In this case, we're talking about HID headlights. The benefit is what it does. So the HID headlights are brighter and they are more like natural sunlight. Okay, so we've told them what it is, we've told them what it does. Now, the piece that most people presenting any type of a product miss is the what's in it for me. Okay, so you have a feature, you have a benefit, that's fantastic, but what does that mean to me? So, Mr. Customer, what that means to you is when you're driving down the highway at 70 miles an hour on a rainy night and visibility is hardly anything, because you have the brighter headlights, the people coming at you are going to be able to see you from a further distance, knowing exactly where you are, keeping you safe and them safe at the same time, right? So feature, what it is, benefit, what it does, and the WIFM, what's in it for me. What is it about that particular feature that's important to me, right? And it could be anything. It could be sunroof, could be Bluetooth, could be power locks, power windows. It doesn't matter, but you need to get to here where a customer can understand, okay, well, what does that mean to me though? Like, that's great that I can roll my windows up and down just with pressing a button, but what does that really mean to me? Well, Mr. Customer, what that means is when you're driving, instead of having to, you know, focus attention here, rolling the window down, you just press the button and you're good to go, right? So when you're presenting the feature, the features, feature, benefit, what's in it for me. And then again, when you're presenting the car, you want to make sure that you're presenting the car from the customer's perspective. So if we're talking about safety, that's going to be a perfect feature. If we're talking about economy, we're going to talk about gas mileage. Performance goes in with gas mileage, what kind of horsepower, torque, this type of stuff. But make sure that you're speaking the same language. I'm going to write that down. Okay, so speaking the same language. So think about this for a second, right? If you and I are talking and I speak English, I don't speak any other languages, and all of a sudden you started speaking Spanish, that conversation is not going to last very long because I don't understand what you're saying. It doesn't make sense to me. Well, it's the same thing with cars. So if I'm a performance buyer and you start telling me about the great fuel economy, that really, it might be a small concern, but it doesn't really, that's not the same language I'm speaking. I want to know how fast I can get from 0 to 60. I want to know how fast I can take a corner. I want to know how this car is going to handle over potholes, right? Those are performance-oriented things. So make sure that you're speaking the same language as your customer. So if they're performance-driven, talk about performance. If they're appearance-driven, talk about appearance. If they're safety-driven, talk about safety. But make sure that you guys are always on the same page, because otherwise they will lose interest, disengage, and at that point you're not going any further. So start at the hood of the car, create a picture. Let me tell you something about this car. So this car is designed to be driven at 150 miles an hour out on the Autobahn in Germany. Let me show you why that's important to you. So this car has this kind of horsepower, it's got this kind of torque, it's beautiful in this way, the sleek lines are wonderful, right? And you're hitting those performance things, right, for that performance buyer, or you're hitting the safety, appearance, whatever, and you go around the car. As you come around to the driver's side and you're telling them about the features on the inside, right? Give them the feature, give them the benefit, give them the what's in it for me, so that you can continue to build value around the car and really just have fun and make sure they're having fun, right? Laugh, joke, be that guy, be their guy. All right, so that's it for this video. Go ahead and make sure that you wrote your notes down, and I'll see you in the next video.